Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to some reaction to Ferrari's car launch which took place earlier this afternoon. And that was, of course, the final launch of 2021, which means testing is just around the corner. But more on that towards the end of the video. So let's have a look at the SF21 then. And yes, as you may have predicted, it's red. But frankly, I'd be shocked if anybody was really expecting anything else, really. I'll tell you what, though, whilst I was expecting some green via the Italian flag on the nose we've seen over the years, I wasn't expecting a massive chunk of it on the engine cover as part of the Mission Winnow logo. But I think I actually quite like it. It's something a bit different to the usual white and black or grey accents we tend to see. So, yeah, it's alright. Although, the more I look at it, to be honest, the more out of place it looks. Almost like it was a bit of an afterthought. So, I'm not actually quite so sure now. I'll see how it looks on track. It's a developing situation, this one for me. I am, though, loving the dark red or the burgundy towards the back of the car, which the team has said is a nod to the first Ferrari racing car. And it is the same as the scheme they used at Mugello last year to celebrate the team's 1000th Grand Prix. I like the way they've done that. I am going to moan about the matte finish again for the second or third year in a row. I like the matte finish on the Red Bull, for example. It looks really, really good. But I am a sucker for a shiny, bright red Ferrari, so I'm a little bit disappointed not to see a return to the glossy paintwork. But to be honest, it really doesn't matter that much, does it? It's just a personal preference. And yes, I get why the teams have started to go down the matte route. But still, for me, there's just something about a Ferrari F1 car glinting in the sun that I absolutely love. But like I say, it's really not that big of a deal. But anyway, enough of the paint job. On the technical side of things, Ferrari has actually given us some info on the changes, which is awesome of them. Now, of course, as with most of the cars we've seen this year's car is very much an evolution of last year's. But the area the team chose to focus development on and to spend its tokens on was the rear with a new transmission and new suspension. There are changes to the cooling system, increasing the size of the central radiator and designing what they describe as a more down-washing bodywork. And yes, again, before you say it, I'm just telling you what's in the press release, but it's good info. There is a new front wing, but changes at the front of the car are minimal, at least in comparison to the rear. And there is, as you can see there, a new nose as well. And we already know there have been changes to the power unit, but more on that in a moment. Looking ahead to the team's season then, I'm actually quite excited to see what they can do this year. 2020 was, by Ferrari standards, pretty diabolical. And although 2022 will very much be the focus if the team wants to return to winning ways or title challenging ways, they can't really afford another year struggling towards the back end of that midfield cluster of McLaren, Aston Martin and Alpine. They need to improve on last year big time. Absolutely, anybody that's saying it, you are completely right. Just because they are Ferrari doesn't mean they instantly have the right to be a top team. But for a team with their resources, the money they spend, they need to bounce back quickly. And to be fair, the noises do seem more positive than they were a year ago. Last January, if you remember, reports surfaced saying that the SF1000 was worse than expected, whereas this year the talk is all about the improvements that they've made to the power unit and how they've tried to make the chassis and engine as efficient as possible. And that includes Mattia Binotto even saying previously that the new unit won't be the worst in the field this year and it has recovered a lot of its straight line speed. And one of the things they've actually drawn attention to in today's launch is the increase in thermal efficiency, which they reckon has resulted in an advantage of over 1/10 of a second a lap. The team has also worked on the aero side, as already covered, and that's to help eliminate some of the drag the car was suffering with last season. So there has been a real shift in narrative, which in many ways is good. But at the same time, we also have to take what any team says with a pinch of salt. And just because things look good on the dyno, for example, it doesn't guarantee a step forward in terms of pace versus rivals, as they will have strengthened as well. But I'm confident we will see Ferrari challenging the top end of the midfield. And actually, Binotto is targeting a minimum finish of P3, as are about 3 other teams. So it could get very tasty. As for the drivers, it's another lineup I can't wait to watch this year. Another fascinating dynamic. That's the phrase I'm using this winter for some reason. Charles Leclerc, as we know, beat his teammate at Ferrari in each of the last 2 seasons, so he will be confident of having the upper hand over Carlos Sainz this year. No guarantees, of course, but there's got to be a confidence there. Especially when you consider that Leclerc is settled at that team and Sainz is the new guy coming in. Essentially, it may be the case that Sainz takes a few races to get up to speed. That said, I do think this will be a lot closer come the end of the year than it was between Vettel and Leclerc last season. Don't get me wrong, I would be very surprised if the Spaniard came out on top in the teammate battle, but I'm not expecting him to be cut miles adrift. I like Sainz, as a lot of you will know, and I think he's got a lot of raw speed and a lot of untapped potential. But Charles was so good last season, there's very few that will deny that. He dragged that Ferrari to some seriously impressive results, and despite the car's issues, he still managed to rack up 98 points and finish 8th in the standings. Not amazing by Ferrari standards, but given that car, that's pretty impressive. So absolutely, yes, it is going to be tough for Sainz, but I think he'll be okay. And to be honest, he can't exactly do any worse than Seb did last year. That's not a dig at Seb, it's just a fact. He really struggled with that car and picked up just 33 points. I think Carlos will be well clear of that come the end of this season, and maybe even clear of that come the end of the first few races. We'll see, of course. But I can't wait to see how it all shakes out between the two of them. And this is up there with Verstappen and Perez and Vettel and Stroll as one of the most intriguing lineups for me. To wrap all of this waffle up then, I like the look of the livery, although I'm still conflicted about the green. I don't hate it, but I'm not totally sold on it. I just don't know. I don't know what it is. Something's bugging me about it, but I'll withhold judgment for now, and we'll see how it looks on track this weekend during testing. But I am confident the team will have a much better season than in 2020, and I reckon they will be right in the fight for P3 in the standings. It's going to be tough, and it will be so close between them and at least 3 other teams, but I reckon they will be in the mix. And again, I can't wait to watch how everything unfolds between Leclerc and Sainz. I am so stupidly excited for this season, and it all starts with pre-season testing in just a couple of days. Bring it on. I cannot wait. That is it for all of the launch reaction videos for 2021 though, but you can, as always, let me know your thoughts on the new Ferrari down in the comments section, but also, which livery is your favourite of 2021? I guess so far. Until we've seen them on track, we won't know, but I'm still torn between the Alpine and the Aston. Now, I will be back this Friday live at 8 AM UK time for the start of our annual testing streams. Yes, it's that time of year already. I will once again be live with guests for all 3 days from 8 AM until 4 PM with live timing chats and updates covering everything going on in Bahrain and probably well beyond that as well. But I promise we will try to keep the pot noodle chat to a minimum this year. So if that does interest you, then don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss when we go live. And if you did enjoy this video, then please do leave a like as it really helps give the channel a little boost. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.